Start recording. Go.
Hello and welcome to PSBS, where Paul and Sydney BS about money. Today's topic is financial accounts, part two.
Because we had so much fun in the first one. We
We
wanted
just
to do
couldn't
the
stop
second
talking.
part. Yeah. I hate us
All
so
right.
much.
So I'm gonna jump straight into this shit because I'm so excited. So some of the stuff I have on my list is basically all the cool stuff because last time we had to cover all the basics and everything people should know, and this time is stuff you might not even have heard of. Well, you've probably heard of it though. So the first thing on my list is the HSA and FSA, and I'm gonna quiz you. Do you know what they stand for?
Health savings account and federal savings account. I don't know.
Close, but totally not. The health
What?
savings account is right, but the FSA is a flexible savings.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's flexible spending account. And that one actually came first, which is so weird because it's not as good. I guess HSAs came around because they wanted to make it better. But FSAs are basically the same thing except a lot less flexible, which is weird because flexible is in the name. And so like for FSAs, like you can use both of them to spend money on like healthcare and that kind of thing. But like FSAs, your company puts money in and there's a different limit and you have to spend it by the end of the year. You got to watch out for those. But like HSAs, you can put money in and the limit is higher and you can roll it over. So you can just start saving in there. And the best part about both of them is they're before taxes.
Yeah, and the HSA, I know you can take between companies also. So, like, you
Yep,
never
totally.
lose it, where the FSA, you can, like, I know you can lose it at the end of the year or something like that. I don't understand why you would do an FSA versus an HSA.
Well, if your company is putting money into an FSA for you, then there's no reason not to do an FSA. And then also, if your company's putting money in and you like have a big reason to spend it, then you just totally should take it.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. I don't really know enough about them. I mean, I know I have an HSA, and
Well,
it's pretty
FSA is also
easy
like,
because like it kind of does it itself after you. The cool thing I like about it is you can basically turn it into another savings account. So like
yeah.
I know I have relatives that are also in the finance realm that have an HSA that they just invest into and they don't even use it, and their plan is to use it during retirement because
Oh
that's
yeah.
gonna like grow, and like obviously their expenses are gonna grow later. So like, why would I use it now when I have a tax advantage system that I can use later? So
Or not even that, like the difference between like so a normal retirement account, you want to like put it in one so that you take it out later at a different tax bracket. But the point of the FSA or the HSA is that you are never taxed on this money. So like it doesn't matter when you start saving and then it doesn't matter when you spend it. All it matters is that it's on like qualified health care. So like if you're in your 30s and you have like a medical emergency, you can use it and it there's no difference in what you'll be taxed versus if you use it when you retire.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, I don't know. It's just like I like it because it's just another good tool that the government gives people to like save long term. Because
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, like I know we talked in the last episode about all the different stuff, but I don't feel like there's enough of those, and a lot of people don't take full advantage of them. Like I have people that just use their retirement account
Mm-hmm.
and just only match to what the company does. And then I
Oh,
also have friends that like have HSA accounts, but they don't put anything because they don't put like the company doesn't match it. And like people are just
oh,
like, well, if I'm not getting more money, why wouldn't I just use it now? And it's very hard to like get through to those people.
sure, sure, totally.
So I guess I just don't know the best way to go about explaining like, oh well, like you can like do this and it's before tax, and then they're like, okay, great, like, but it doesn't benefit me like now type of thing. It's hard to show that benefit until
Right.
they're like 60 and they're like, oh no, I should save it.
Well, what's crazy is like there's so many accounts out there that are before taxes that like do things before taxes because there are laws or whatever that say that that's possible. And you should take like all of them. There are so many to take advantage of. The absolute best one, in my opinion, there's one for commuter benefits. And I know being from Chicago, like you and I are more likely to take public transportation.
Right.
But there's also like if you drive your car, you can get reimbursed for the mileage. Or if you specifically buy a ticket or a pass on a either like train or a bus, then like if you're putting this money away pre-tax, you won't be taxed on it later. So like it's totally different with the same concept as a retirement account. You're just getting normal benefits for like commuting to work or going to the doctor. Like you're
Yeah.
not paying taxes on it.
And it's also kind of like also I know you can get like tax breaks depending on like what type of profession you wear for like clothing or if you work out of your house. It's not a lot, but like all those little things like add up. Like I don't know. I just think that it just blows my mind now that we had like this break or two. It's like okay, now I'm just like even more mind blown. Just like people don't have little different savings account for different purposes, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's even if you can't save anything, it's still really good to like manage your money effectively in some way.
Totally.
And I think the best way to do that is like front load it so that way you don't even see the money and it just sends off to your account. I was talking about this is one thing I changed since we last talked is
Ooh.
did I talk about Mint? I don't remember if I talked about Mint
You
last.
mentioned it. You might not have talked about it.
So I have all my not all but most of my accounts on Mint and I recently took off all my retirement accounts because
Ooh.
I was like you know what doesn't matter until I retire. I don't even want to know I have this money. I want to be thinking like on a budget. So like
Wait, but doesn't Mint help you plan by knowing those things?
right, but like okay, for example, like I'm investing into my 401k at like 18% or whatever it is. And
Nice.
so like
Wait, is that can't be over the max?
no,
That's crazy.
I think the max is 20, but the limit is based on your salary or whatever.
Yeah, the limit of what you can do in your 401k, there's an annual limit that you can contribute, but then if it's matched by the company, then that's different.
Yeah, I just know there's like a max you can set as like a percent of your paycheck, I think. Anyways, I forgot where I was going with that. But I don't know.
Mint,
But the
you have
point is, I took it out because, like, okay, why do I need to know what's going into my retirement account? They're all automated. Like, whatever going into my IRA and whatever is going into my 401k, it's all automated. Like,
sure.
am I really going to change that ever? Like, I'm trying to max out both of them. I have it set up so they should, like, be doing that. And so it's like, okay, well, why do I need to look? I don't need to look at it. I don't need to look at it till I'm 40. So what I do need to do is actively
40,
manage like
40.
well, you should look at it maybe once a year, just in case something gets screwed up. But like I think it's just good to just actively manage like you're not worth like I'm not including that worth in my day to day because I think
Sure.
it like gives you like this wealth effect of like, oh look, like now I'm worth six figures, but like in my checking account it's like virtually nothing, and then my savings account has some money, and it's like all right, that's what I actually have to manage. So,
It's kind of bittersweet because like the good part about looking at it is the fact that you're like prepared for it, and I agree with you. Once a year is kind of like the minimum, if for no other reason than the minimum that you can contribute changes every year, and also your salary might change on an annual basis
true.
if you get, I don't know, bonuses or raises. And so like you should actually kind of just set it and forget it for the year based on
Unless you
the
have like a life event or like you said, get a raise or like promotion or something.
sure, yeah. But then also like the good reason to have it like visible to yourself is that like you know you're on track, because if for some reason like you only look at what you can contribute and then like 4 or 5 years down the line like you haven't given it enough, or you don't feel like, even if you're not maxing it out but you're going for the match for your company, like you should probably like keep an eye on it just so you know where you're at, especially if you have one in more than one place. I think that's probably the benefit of having them in Mint. I actually don't use Mint, but I do have more than one retirement account, and because they're made up of different stuff. So
And I
I
guess
know that
like the biggest thing I want to clarify, I'm not saying forget about your freaking retirement account. You should care deeply about it, and you should have an understanding of where you're going to be at the end of the year, like
sure.
based on the contribution limit. Because if you're not even close to the limit, everyone's got different financial situations. You need to try and like strive for that on both like the IRA and the 401k side, or if you have your 403b. Um,
Ooh, getting fancy.
yeah, well, it's just a different type of 401k. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's just good to like it's good to set so that way you can forget about it type of thing. Even if
Absolutely.
it's like virtually nothing, it's better than literally nothing. Is the best way to describe it.
Well, another thing that you probably shouldn't forget about, unless you have recurring payments set up, is student loans.
Oh man, that segue!
Not like I practiced or anything,
No, it's
but
not like you had that like right here, like ready in the back of your head. You're just like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good. The audience is gonna
I was
freak out.
feeling it. So, student loans. Oh my God. Well, because like for student loans, actually, like a lot of people, including myself, not anymore, but when I did take out student loans, I actually took them out from multiple different places. I took out smaller loans from a couple different institutions for different reasons with different interest rates and everything. So because they're all separate, they really don't do you any good if you don't know what you're paying on them and if you don't know like how much you owe and the interest rate and all that jazz. But because a lot of them have these, like you can pay them without thinking about it or you can consolidate them, then like setting your payment and forgetting it, like that's totally fine with something like a student loan because the interest rate is probably low compared to other debt you possibly have.
Yeah, and you student loans is kind of in this day and age almost like a mortgage. Not speaking in terms of like how much money it is because it's getting up there, but just like
Or
the
no.
interest rate that like you're getting on it, you just have to accept that you're gonna have this debt, and it's okay to have debt. Don't be scared of it. But it is important to understand how it impacts your life. So, for example, uh, I know someone that has a bunch of student loan debt and a bunch of different types of degrees. They have like a biology degree, and then a couple like medical, and they're getting their doctorate degree. And
Yeah.
so the thing is, there's like all the different occupations, different industries have different things that can very much benefit you to this. Like scholarships is obviously a very easy one, but another thing that I recently found out is debt forgiveness, and
Ooh.
it's so for example for the medical field, you if you work like I know impoverished isn't like the right word, but if you work in a place that is like high demand and doesn't have maybe the best standards or whatever, you they rank all these different clinics and hospitals and stuff based on across the nation based on
Mhm.
their situation. And if you work in one of the lower tier ones after you graduate, you have a chance to get 50% of like your loan forgiven after
Wow.
working only 2 years. So if
That's
you
crazy.
have like six figures of debt or something crazy like that, you can like it, and then like I think it's like a third year if you work, you can get it forgiven also. But you have to work in kind of this like crappy area that you have to see patients in a
It's
third
also
of the
where you're doing
time.
the most good in that case, though.
Yeah, and it really just depends on your life situation, but I'm sure there's other occupations that do the same thing. I don't know if there's companies
Oh, I
that
know teachers have that. Teachers have that as well, where but I think you have to set it up before you graduate, or at least the person that did this that I know had to like go into the like apply to and get into a program before they graduated, where they went to then teach at a underprivileged area in a school that didn't have the best reputation.
yeah.
And so, but after she was there for like 2 years, she ended up staying there for much longer because she ended up liking it. She moved there for good when she got the job, so she's still working there. But she ended up having to like work there for 2 years just to meet the requirements to get part of her loan forgiven. But I don't think the program ended up forgiving all of it. But there's definitely a lot of different professions that do good, that do like good for the common people, like teaching or medical field that end up having programs like that.
Yeah. And then like another thing is like I know since we used to work together, our company did this thing called peanut butter that they help pay down they I don't remember what it was, but they like matched part of your pay, and but they
They
applied
just
it directly to student loans or something weird.
Yeah, the company Peanut Butter actually facilitated the company that we worked for paying down the student loan. So it was actually a benefit that was given by the company where they ended up like telling basically they wanted it to be a benefit, just like, health insurance at a company would be a benefit or 401k would be a benefit. They wanted student loan repayment to be a benefit because they thought that that would entice good employees to work for them. So one of the things they did was set up so that they actually helped pay down like eligible student loans. I tried to game the system because my student loans are now paid down, but my husband's student loans are not. So I actually tried to figure out if like I took on some of that debt, if it would count as student loans, or if maybe because we're married, if that would count. But no, it had to be my own student loans taken out in my name originally, and so I couldn't game the system.
Wow, that's
Hey,
quite a
you're
amount of money.
talking money expert over here. No, not at all. Actually,
But see, it is important.
we're not experts.
Yeah, no, not at all. We don't give financial advice. We just sit here and BS for hours. Um, that's another important thing. It's just like understand your situation and what benefits you. Because like, yeah, maybe it'd be good to game the system a little bit, take on some of your husband's debt, and then like let your company pay it down. But like, obviously, that's the loophole. Just like the medical thing I was explaining earlier, um, it only applies to like the master's degree and doctorate programs. It doesn't apply to
Yes.
undergrad. So like
Huh.
what you want to do is actually pay down the undergrad first, so that way when you get the forgiveness, it
Mm,
pays off the majority of your, even though the interest rate might be higher or lower or whatever.
interesting.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So that way
Yeah,
you're not paying down something that's already going to have a larger portion paid off. You get the
totally.
50% paid off from the whole chunk rather than just like 80% of it.
Right.
So it's interesting to think about, but it all depends on your situation. Like, the best way to do it is just look at resources, especially if like you're still in university or college. Just talk to what's it called? Financial aid,
Advise.
aid advisors, financial aid, I think is what it's called.
Oh, on campus,
Yeah,
yeah.
and just let them help you know their options because they probably have a ton of knowledge. And you know what? 15 minutes in that office might save you thousands of dollars.
Tons of money.
Yeah.
Because there's also things that you just simply might not know about your own student loans. Like you have to meet certain requirements for interest rates to be what they are. Like some of them are contingent on like grades or like there are even grants that like are
Yeah.
your money unless you do something that you never thought that's in small print and the third page of the contract and then it's now a loan. And so there are a lot of things to figure out, but it's worth doing.
Yeah. Even like just knowing, like I got a scholarship once just because like a professor knew me in class and I just talked to her. Like I
Cool.
didn't even have to I didn't talk to her about scholarships. So it was just like, oh, they had a scholarship, and she thought I would fit the mold of it, and like that was it. So even just talking to like professors about it could be extremely helpful. I'm not a huge networker. Like I just like talk to people, but it still is beneficial just like even talk about with people. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
And
have much to say about student loans. They're pretty much on autopilot and just let them happen.
well, then I'll make the next one super quick because on my list is also saving for college before you actually get there for yourself or someone else, and likely for someone else if you have like a kid that's going to go to college eventually or you're in high school and want to start putting money away. The tax-free stuff, this all like comes together like a sandwich. You
Yeah.
you can do a 529 account, and that's just
529. Fuck, I couldn't think of the name.
yes. So yeah, no, that baby is awesome. It's basically just another like a normal what you would think of as like a retirement account where you're putting money away tax free for later use, except the only thing you can do with it is spend it on education.
Right.
So it's actually useful for more than just college because if you end up going to a private school or any of your education costs money from any grade that you're any grade you're in. You can use the money that you've put away for the 529 accounts. Most of them are for colleges and they're set up that way.
Yeah.
You can actually even give them as gifts, which is kind of cool.
Right.
There's just programs out there where you like just give someone a gift of a 529 account and it's kind of weird because you need their social security number to set it up.
Yeah.
So it's
You
like,
have to at least wait till like they're born and get all that stuff before they can do that. But it's funny. Like my mom, I know really wants to do that. Like for when I have a kid, she's like, I'm gonna be contributing that all the time. It's just like, okay, mom. But no,
it's
it's good.
funny. Like
Um,
I found out that like some like all these new entrepreneurial like companies are out there now trying to like help people save money in fun ways. And so when I found this company that gave like you could give the 529 account as a gift, like I thought that'd be a really cool gift to like all the people I know who are like currently in high school and saving for college or whatever. But then like if you think about it, they're not going to appreciate it. It really is just for like somebody who is a parent or more likely just looking towards the future in a way that is very money focused because not a lot of high school kids would probably think about that.
One of the best things I can recommend to people, whether you're in college or not, is just pretty much get a job in high school, whether it sucks or not, and just save. Like, I didn't have many expenses besides like car insurance and cell phone, and it was
Sure.
just like you're just living at home. So everyone's situation is different, but I just kept working and like just having money accumulate in like my checking and savings account. So when I got to college, I was like, oh, I can go get Chipotle or whatever, like, and not have to
Sure.
like freak out. Like, I still had a job through most of college except for like the last year, but it was like, oh, okay, like this is cool. Like, I then got a credit card and started understanding that, and then like, this is how you spend money, and this is how you save it, and this is what you can do with money. Because like
Totally.
honestly, until I was like, I don't even know how old, like 16 or 17 or something like that, I didn't even like understand like, oh, like I made money and now I can go spend it on things. Because the only thing I bought was like video games, like
I
because I was just a
could
kid.
totally see you doing that.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, I would suggest getting a job for the sake of like having a job because like even like I worked at Claire's and it was retail and retail was not like much of anything to do what I'm doing right now. Like I was on my feet all day, I was talking to people all day, but it did teach me so many mini lessons that like I took with me every job I've had since then. Like it's great that the jobs you have not only give you money, but that's like you're learning the reward, but you're also learning responsibility of like showing up and not stealing money and being trustworthy and all that jazz.
Yeah, and like organization. I don't know. It definitely does give you some good life skills because like the besides being yelled at, like my parents like the first time like I got told, hey, you suck at like a job. I was like, oh, I need to like actually apply myself and like do this if I want to like keep doing what I'm doing. Granted, there was many other factors, but like I don't know, it's a good life experience. And then like on top of that, the more the longer you work there, the more you start to figure stuff out. So like you start to figure out, oh, there's a retirement account I can contribute to, and then you're like, oh, like this is how I pay off a credit card, and I can use a credit card this way, and I can put money in my savings account, and that accumulates interest, and you can also buy stocks. That was another weird thing. I was like, wait, let me get this straight. I can go buy a stock of Microsoft and like own it. And then I don't know. I mean, money isn't end all be all, but it definitely gives you some freedom and flexibility. So I'm a huge advocate of saving before college.
I thought it was a really good idea to get a job because I kind of wanted like a little bit of something to do because like all of my other friends had a job and most of them needed it to pay for their car and I didn't have a car at that point. So when I like couldn't hang out with my friends after weekdays at school, it was because they were all busy and I could either, hang out with them at their place of work or I could get a job, make some money and then hang out with them when they did things that cost money.
See, that's smart. That's smart. Yeah, and that's another cool thing too is when you start like going out with friends, and then it's like, oh, like we can go do things, and like besides just like have sleepover at each other's parents' house or whatever it is, and
or linger at like we hung out at Barnes and Noble for like hours on end because you could like pick up a book and sit there and read or like just go to their when music at Barnes and Noble was a thing, like we would go to their music section and just like have each other listen to really cool songs that we found. But we weren't ever gonna buy anything because we didn't have any money.
You would hang out in Barnes and Nobles for hours. This explains so much of what's going on the other side of this.
Oh my God. But yes, so other accounts that you could have. Speaking of like having accounts for other people, there are trusts out there. And like you've always heard of those like trust fund babies and like how funny it is to think about somebody who got all this money in a windfall. But like there are other reasons to have a trust too. And that could be for just controlling the money that somebody gets over the period of time or just playing with their mind.
Yeah, I don't. No, I'm not. I don't have a trust, or I don't know anyone that has a trust. I don't think so, but I think they're important, especially once you like start having like a family, or even if you just want to like protect yourself in case something ever happens to you. I think it's important. Like I had a family member that set up uh, their cabin in like northern Wisconsin in like a trust.
Interesting.
And it was and I can't remember the exact details, but basically like everything in the cabin would be taken care of uh,
Hmm.
for basically ever because they set up this trust to have the cabin taken care of and updated and like the trust was gonna like do trusts make money? I almost want to say that they do make money.
Yes, they can make money if they like have money in like the money in a trust is the trust's money to be done with for whatever reason the trust is set up, whether it's to take care of people or in this case a cabin. So like if the money that was going to be used would be then like invested or something,
Yeah.
then that could make money.
I think it was just like a combination of like it had investments and it was like they were just using it towards expenses of like the cabin. But the trust was going to be passed down through generations, but no one could touch anything. It was just going to be a part of the family, like some weird
That's
thing.
awesome. That's a really cool use of a trust. I've
Yeah.
only ever seen it like when people pass away and like they own something big, or like it's not necessarily an estate because when someone dies, then their stuff goes to an estate and then it's taken care of. But there's also could be like a trust specifically in the name of like one of their kids or something. And so I've seen a lot of those before.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a cabin having a trust.
Yeah. It's I mean I was really little when it was like being talked about at the table, but I'm pretty sure that's like what it is. And
That's
you
really
know, if someone wants to tell me I'm wrong, it's
it's
fine.
no, it's totally legit. Like now you're like giving me ideas of like maybe I should like have a trust on my game room so that like if anything happens to any of the games, like I can have the game room upkept and like I can have it taken care of when I'm not around and I like it.
What?
Trusts
That's
are
why you
fun.
have a Chris. Chris is your trust.
Well, he's gonna die before me, so I'm his retirement plan. This was
Please
decided.
knock on some wood or some shit. Jesus, you keep saying that.
Oh my God. Well, now if he does, then I'll be implicated because of this. Thanks.
Yes, we all know who to charge. Ooh, we've had 3 people actually come into our channel. Look at that.
Ooh, fun.
Blowing up. All right, let's.
So I got more. I got more. You ready
Okay,
for it?
yeah,
All
I'm
right.
ready. Just
So
keep letting them fly.
on both sides of the loan thing, peer-to-peer lending is a really, really cool kind of account because you legitimately can be on either side of the loan.
Boo.
So there, but no, 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 no. You don't even know how
Boo.
you are thinking of the one that everyone is probably thinking of, which is lending.
Boo.
I would give Lending Club a boo. But if you want
All right,
your
give me a good example. Let's hear this.
Fundrise, because
Fundrise. Okay.
Fundrise is a company in which the so Lending Club is has a bad rep because the loans are not backed
All
by
right,
collateral.
slow down. Start over. Lending Club is peer-to-peer lending, just like Fundrise. But Lending Club literally is you're giving out micro loans to people. So like, I could be a lender, and I'll be like, all right, I have 20 grand, and I put it in the account. But then what happens is Lending Club takes that 20 grand, divides it up into 500 or 2,000 or whatever denominations, till that 20 grand is dispersed to a bunch of Sydneys. And Sydney has all of her data, like credit rating, all this stuff, and then you get to pick which loans you want to give out, and then hopefully Sydney accepts your interest rate that's on there, which I think is all automated on Lending Club, the actual interest
Oh
rate, but
yeah,
I can't
totally.
remember. And then what happens is they over
It's just normal.
time, it's like a 12-month loan or something like that. So Sydney has to
It's
pay
3 years or 5 years. So that's the
3 or
minimum that you
5.
can do.
Holy cow! So
Yeah.
basically, Lending Club is kind of a middleman a little bit. They just manage the portfolio a little and take a cut from you, your like fees of it. They don't charge the people trying to get the loan.
Nope. The
The
exact opposite. The person trying to get the loan actually, some of the money goes to Lending Club, whereas the person who is giving the loan is incentivized to give the loan because none of their money is coming out unless it's the
right.
actual like
I think I just said it backwards because like if I
yeah.
give you $1,000, whatever
Hmm.
your interest paid back on that loan over the course of the month, portion
Hmm.
of that interest goes to Lending Club.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then so like if it's 1% or whatever,
Sure.
and then like 0.5% goes to Lending Club, 0.5% goes to me, and I recuperate my full investment back. Hopefully,
Well, the
hopefully.
reason the reason that well, two things. One is the reason that the money comes from the borrower and not the lender. So you're lending me money is you are told you're going to make 5%. I am told I'm going to pay 6%. So
Right,
you don't know, nor do you really care because you agreed to the loan based on getting 5%.
right.
So you're cool if you get your full 5%. I am perfectly happy taking out a loan at 6% because the idea of Lending Club and cutting out the bank or the credit card in the middle is that the interest is so much lower. Like, if I actually needed the money, getting a loan from a peer to peer lending would be a much better break for me than it would be trying to get a loan from a bank because I would be paying so much less interest. But, and I got the name wrong, it wasn't Fundrise, that's something else that's awesome. It's Peer Street. Peer Street is basically the exact same concept as Lending Club, except it has collateral. And collateral is something that you
It's very
basically,
important.
yes, oh yeah, super important. So if I want to take out a loan on Pier Street, I would tell Pier Street I have this piece of real estate, the house that I'm currently sitting in, that I would put up as collateral. So if I don't make these payments, you have a right to my house. And then you can come after my house to get the money that I owe you. And in the case of Pier Street, because it's peer to peer lending, that I owe the people that decided to lend me the money. So while Lending Club has actually gotten a lot of criticism because if I'm the borrower and I default on a Lending Club loan, there's nothing you're coming after me. I mean, my credit score might drop, and we've totally railed at least last episode on how important a credit score is. But there's nothing that's going to negatively affect me. I have the money you gave me, and nobody's watching what I'm doing with it. It doesn't really matter. But in Pier Street, if I default on my loan, my house is at risk. So I'm totally not going to default on my loan. So
Yes.
that's a concept of peer to peer lending. But another one, which is still a peer to peer lending, which I think is even cooler than Pier Street, is called Kiva, Kiva. And that is specifically peer lending to people in impoverished countries and places that are in need of a little, basically, entrepreneurial startup money, but not in the like kid in his basement kind of way, but like a mother of five in a hut in Africa who is creating necklaces in her free time. And she needs just a little bit of seed money to be able to get the supplies that she needs, where then she can actually create a business. And so Kiva is more of a feel good kind of peer to peer lending, and the returns are pretty low. They're more like loans where
Charity loans.
yeah, you're doing it for the feel good, but you're still supposed to get your money back. I think they do have collateral, but it's differently structured than Pier Street. It's not like the home that they live in, but they they definitely do good, and you're expected to get your money back. So that's another option for peer-to-peer lending.
But it all just depends on, again, it depends on the situation. I worked in this industry for a little bit. It is terrifying if you've
Oh,
been
that's
in it.
right.
And if you do peer-to-peer lending of unsecured loans, which means there's no collateral, so there's nothing to back it. You're literally just giving it based on their history and good faith. That is very scary because they literally could be committing fraud and just say, forget it, I don't care about my credit score, and just take your money and run, and you are SOL. And the returns are not great in unsecured areas. Now, I think Pier Street and I don't remember what the other one you said was, but
Kiva.
oh yeah, that one. I'm not even gonna talk about that one. That one's good stuff. It's basically like a loan charity thing, but like Pier Street, I think is good. I think they're being smarter about peer-to-peer lending because I know there's also like car loans you can do and different other types of loans. Highly recommend looking into those before you decide to invest in this type of area.
And there's another one called Funding Circle, which is actually kind of interesting because that is a site where individuals actually loan money to businesses. And this isn't like a startup where you're giving them money and you're getting stock in return and you're hoping they do well. This is an established business that needs a loan that doesn't want to go to a bank. So basically, its own business is its collateral.
Yeah.
And so it's super interesting because it's kind of like a person giving a loan to a business seems sort of backwards, but when you get enough people together and they do enough of those, like as Paul explained with the $25 for a lending club, like if you get enough of those together, then you have enough to make it worth the business's while to pay interest back on the amount that they're borrowing.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, I don't. Do you have any more accounts left?
I actually do, but they're I guess like on they're just basically investing. They're different ways to give your money to something, have your money grow, and then come back to you bigger. But they're also kind of weird and like out there. And we've talked about all the good stuff. We've talked about all the stuff that's like important in your day-to-day life or something that might be affecting you specifically rather than stuff that you could seek out to try and make money.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to talk about next time. Is accounts that can help you grow your money and different ways to do
I
it.
love that idea.
Again, we'll probably talk about it in a massive overview first, and over the course of the podcast, we'll try to get deeper and deeper as we educate ourselves and want to discuss more. So, I think that's where we're going to end it. I would love to talk longer, but we got to go. But it was good. I'm glad we did this after a break, and I look forward to it again. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I'm so excited to talk about stuff that makes money because I love making money.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time. I'm PSBS.
Woo!